Hey, what's up, guys? Today, I'll show you a supernatural horror film, The Promise. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins by showing the happy moments of two best friends, Baum and Ivy. They both have wealthy families. Their fathers are business partners who decide to build a luxury penthouse building. It is the year 1997, and the penthouse building is already in progress. Baum and Ivy draw a sign of their hands together on the concrete wall of the building. Their fathers reserved a single unit for them. They then pinky promise that they will reside in the unit together. The two walk down the building, and they find their fathers completely disappointed. Apparently, a financial crisis suddenly struck the country. The financial crisis eventually led to the bankruptcy of the country. Businesses are closing down because of the economic collapse. This also affects their father's business. Their fathers discontinue building the penthouse, since no one would buy units from it due to the financial crisis. This finally leads to the bankruptcy of their fathers. After that, Ivy's father becomes violent toward her. Baum comforts her and gives her an apple. Ivy reveals that her father wants to kill himself, but her mother hides the gun. She knows where her mother hides the gun, and she is thinking of killing herself using it. She then says that the bank seized their house and her family will live away from Baum. In response, Baum gives her tuition to Ivy, so Ivy can buy a pager. In that way, they can still communicate with each other. At night, Baum's father shares that he got a job as a broker. He gladly declares that they will be rich again. The following day, Baum's mother scolds her for not paying her tuition. Her mother figures out she uses the tuition to buy a pager. She says to her mother that she feels shame for selling things on the streets to earn money. Her mother then tells her to leave their house. Baum leaves the house and receives a message from Ivy, saying her father hurts her again. Ivy has the thought of ending her life. Baum sees her father walking, and she follows him. She sees his father talking to his imaginary client. She then learns that her father has gone crazy because of their bankruptcy. The tragic events lead her to want to end her life. She calls Ivy, saying she wants to end her life. They then plan to commit suicide together. They soon meet in their father's penthouse building during Baum's 15th birthday. Ivy takes her father's gun. Ivy then asks Baum not to let her die alone. In response, Baum promises to die with her. In a few moments, Ivy shoots herself, leading to her instant death. Baum gets scared and ends up backing out from her promise to die with Ivy. Many years later, Baum continues living her life, and now has a teenage daughter named Belle. Baum is facing possible bankruptcy this time, so she decides to develop and sell the unfinished penthouse building of her father. She then presents it to the investors and developers. Apparently, the penthouse is still half owned by Ivy's father, so she needs to get approval from Ivy's family. During their visit, Belle comes to the highest floor of the building. There, she proceeds to take photos. She then unknowingly finds the handmark of Baum and Ivy. She gets interested, so she writes her name on it. The door of a creepy room suddenly opens, so she comes to check it. Her camera detects a face inside. She enters it and manages to find Ivy's old pager, which contains her mother's messages to Ivy. Out of curiosity, she brings the old pager back to their home. She reads the suicide message of her mother to her beloved friend Ivy. Unbeknown to her, the message is written by her mother. She gets creeped out by the message, so she decides to throw the pager away. At midnight, Baum wakes up from her sleep after she senses a strange movement outside. She comes out of her room and finds the things messed up while the kettle is boiling water. She sees the cabinet door close, so she comes to check it. A hand suddenly touches her, forcing her to rush back to her room out of fear. She locks the door, but something keeps knocking on it. She frantically gets her gun. In a few moments, the door opens and a red marker rolls inside the room. After that, she checks on her daughter and calls the police, thinking that there is an intruder inside their home. The police soon arrive and investigate the scene, but they do not find any sign of an intruder. Baum goes to Belle's room and she finds a knife hidden under her pillow. The officer finds a newly drawn hand mark, similar to Baum and Ivy's hand mark in the building. They then check the footage of who drew it. Soon after, they find out that Belle drew it, but she is completely unaware of it. The following day, Baum brings Belle to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor says she might be suffering from sleepwalking. He then prescribes medication for Belle. He allows her to go home and instructs Baum to take footage of Belle's sleepwalking for observation purposes. After that, Baum visits Ivy's family, who now run a scrapyard for a living. Ivy's mother gives her a gift from Ivy. She then presents the contract for the building to Ivy's brother, but he thinks the payment they will get is too low, so Baum suggests giving them a share of the profits. The brother then agrees to the contract. At night, Baum comes home and opens the gift from Ivy. Apparently, the gift is Ivy's stitching for their names together and a happy birthday greeting for Baum. She checks her memory box, containing their photos. She looks at the footage of Belle later and sees a figure moving behind her. So she checks her room, but Belle is nowhere to be found. She searches for Belle and finds Belle letting something enter their house. Belle proceeds to talk to something on the sofa, while Bomb is taking footage of her. Belle then prepares an orange juice and puts it on the table. To Bomb's surprise, something seemingly drinks the orange juice. She then hears Belle singing her and Ivy's favorite song on the terrace. In horror, she rushes to get Belle from there, worrying that she might jump. The next day, Bomb and Belle share breakfast together. Apparently, Belle is having her 15th birthday a few days after, but she wants to cancel it. Belle then drinks an orange juice, and Bomb suddenly remembers Ivy. At this point, she thinks that Ivy might be taking revenge by taking away her daughter's life. She then comes to the penthouse building and gives an apple to Ivy as an offering. She prays and begs for Ivy to spare her daughter's life. A strong wind suddenly passes by, and Bomb finds the offering apple eaten by maggots. She walks down the building where she encounters a little kid who suddenly gets scared after seeing something. She asks him about it. The kid replies that a ghost is following her. She forces the kid to reveal who the ghost is, but he appears to be traumatized. Right then, his mother, who is a worker in the building, arrives to fetch him. Back at Bomb's home, the maid finds the fruits already rotten. Belle falls asleep and begins sleepwalking. She is looking for a scissor. Apparently, Bomb hides these sharp things to keep Belle safe, but the maid gives it to Belle. Then the maid leaves for a while to go to the market, leaving Belle alone and cutting the curtain. She prepares to hang herself with the curtain. Meanwhile, Bomb arrives at their home parking lot and finds Ivy's pager there, showing her suicide message. Bomb enters their home and finds Belle slowly choking from the curtain. Fortunately, the curtain rods fall, allowing Belle to get out of it. Belle sees the pager, but she tells her mother that she has already thrown it away. At night, Bomb burns the pager and her memories with Ivy. She shares with her daughter about their plans to commit suicide on her 15th birthday. But it turns out she failed her promise to die with Ivy. Since then, she's kept it a secret, and even Ivy's family did not know about it. Belle now realizes that she is about to turn 15 after a few days, so she is frightened that Ivy is planning to take her life away. After that, Belle makes her mother promise never to attempt to commit suicide again. Bomb promises she will do so. At midnight, Bomb finds Belle in the shower. Apparently, Belle cannot sleep again. The next day, Bomb calls a nurse to take care of Belle while she is gone. She goes to the penthouse building and then forces the little kid to help her find Ivy's ghost, so she can communicate with Ivy. The kid refuses to go with her, so she threatens to remove her mother from her job. This forces the kid to help her. Just then, the kid sees Ivy's ghost on the building's higher floor. They then go together to follow Ivy's ghost. They eventually find Ivy's ghost through her figure on the wall. Bomb lets the kid relay her message to Ivy. She begs Ivy to spare her daughter's life. The kid asks if Ivy will continue taking Belle's life. Ivy affirms. This enraged Bomb, and she begins throwing at Ivy's figure in the wall. In a few moments, Ivy is gone out of the wall, and an unseen force suddenly chokes the kid, causing the kid to run away in fear. Bomb chases the kid, and she holds him. But Ivy continues to terrify the kid, making the kid scream like crazy. Bomb then comforts him. The following day, Bomb has a meeting with the investors and Ivy's family. She is extremely anxious because tomorrow is Belle's 15th birthday, and Ivy might take her life away. She says she wants to have a personal conversation with Ivy's family. This leaves the investors disappointed, forcing them to leave the meeting. She finally reveals to Ivy's family that Ivy committed suicide and she should have died with Ivy, but she keeps it a secret through the years. She tearfully apologizes to Ivy's mother. She then asks Ivy's mother to talk with Ivy to spare Belle's life. Ivy's family gets confused and disappointed, so they decide to leave. At night, Bomb receives a report from the nurse that Belle has disappeared from her room. After that, she receives a call from Belle, asking for her help. Belle says she is from Bomb's old house, so Bomb comes to fetch her. She brings Belle back home soon after and ties her in the bed, as her 15th birthday is coming at midnight. But she unties Belle after she says she wants to pee. Just then, Bomb sees Belle's eye is completely red, signaling that Belle might be possessed. So she prevents Belle from removing the tie, making Belle punch her, but she ties Belle again. Midnight comes, and Belle appears to be possessed again, and keeps declaring childhood rhymes. She is also trying to get out of bed. The tearful Bomb then tries her best to restrain her from moving away. In the morning, Bomb arrives on the brink of desperation to save her daughter's life. She gets her gun and decides to kill herself in the car. She pulls the trigger repeatedly, but the bullets are not coming out of the gun. It seems that Ivy really wants to take Belle's life, so Bomb furiously drives to Ivy's family. She threatens to shoot Ivy's mother. She gets Ivy's ashes and throws them away. A figure appears on the wall because of that. She tries to kill Ivy's mother in anger, but she holds herself at last. She continues to cry in desperation. She tearfully goes back home and pleads with her daughter to stop doing strange things. She says that Belle needs to survive until the end of the day. That night, Bomb accidentally falls asleep due to exhaustion. She wakes up and finds Belle already gone from her room. She sees familiar handprints drawn in the room. She rushes towards the penthouse building while calling the ambulance. Right then, she receives a video call from Belle's phone. She answers it, making her look up. A toilet drops suddenly, but she manages to avoid it. She looks at the higher floor and sees Belle holding a gun. So she comes to the higher floor to get her, but Belle keeps moving. After a few moments, she sees a figure covered in a blanket. She comes to it and sees Belle coming behind her. She looks back, but the blanket covers her in an instant. She removes it and comes toward Belle, but Belle suddenly disappears and she almost falls to the ground. She looks at the video call only to see Belle put bullets into the gun. She rushes to Belle and attempts to get the gun from her, but Belle holds the gun firmly. Bomb then decides to point the gun at herself, choosing to die for her daughter. Belle pulls the trigger. In response, Bomb steps back in fear, making her fall to the lower ground. In despair, she watches Belle pointing the gun at herself. She suddenly gets her phone and points its flash to Belle, waking Belle up in that way, but it's already too late. Belle's hand manages to pull the trigger. After that, Bomb comes to the higher floor and sees a familiar scene. She sees Belle lying on the floor filled with blood, but she sees Belle is still alive, trying to gasp for breath. The ambulance eventually arrives and brings Belle to the hospital. The following day, a doctor manages to remove the bullet from Belle, saving her life. However, she suffers from paralysis because of the injury. Bomb visits back to the penthouse building and sees Belle's drawing their handprint. She apologizes to Ivy for breaking her promise. She says that they will eventually meet again, but she will never kill herself again. Meanwhile, the investors back out from developing the building. As a result, she goes bankrupt, and the bank seizes their house. As she is about to leave the house, she finds a tape recorder. She listens to it, and it turns out to be a lovely message from Belle. In the end, it seems that Ivy stops haunting Bomb after the incident, and Bomb lives back in a simple apartment with the paralyzed Belle, trying to live happily together. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.